Imagine this, you're scrolling through your phone, minding your own business, when you stumble upon something so utterly shocking, so deeply violating, that it makes your blood run cold. Now, imagine that discovery involves your best friend, the person you trust implicitly, the one who knows all your secrets, your hopes, your deepest fears. And she's not just gossiping about you, she's actively impersonating you online. Not just impersonating me, but specifically, painstakingly, catfishing my ex-boyfriend, and her reason. Her twisted, unbelievable justification. She claims she just wanted to test his loyalty. This isn't some made-up movie plot. This is my life. This is the story of the day my world shattered, revealing a betrayal so profound, it still takes my breath away. It's a story about friendship, trust, and the sickening reality of finding out the person closest to you was capable of such a calculated, cruel deception. To understand the depth of this betrayal, you need to understand who Sarah was to me. She wasn't just a friend. She was my sister in every way that mattered. We'd known each other since childhood, through scraped knees and first crushes, through high school drama and college anxieties. She was my confidant, my biggest cheerleader. The person I called for everything, good news, bad news, or just to vent about a bad day. I trusted her with my entire life, my vulnerabilities, my deepest insecurities. Our bond felt unbreakable, forged over years of shared experiences and unwavering support. And then there was Mark, my ex-boyfriend. Our breakup had been tough. It wasn't explosive drama, it was more of a slow, painful drifting apart. We'd tried to make it work, but ultimately, distance and fading feelings took their toll. Sarah was there for me through every tear, every late-night phone call. She'd bring me ice cream, listen patiently, offer reassuring words. She knew all the intimate details of our relationship, the tender moments, the arguments, the reasons. We eventually decided to call it quits. She saw my heartbreak firsthand. That's why, when I discovered what she was doing, it wasn't just a betrayal of me, but a twisted perversion of everything I thought our friendship stood for. She was supposed to be my safe harbor, not the one navigating a storm in my name. Looking back now, the first hints, the tiny cracks in the facade, started appearing subtly. They were so easy to dismiss at first. Mark, my ex, would sometimes send me a message that felt off, a comment about something I supposedly said, or a seemingly random inside joke from our past that felt oddly out of place. I'd read it, frown, and then brush it off as him just being weird, or maybe still processing the breakup. He's just trying to get a reaction, I'd tell myself, but then, Sarah, my best friend, would start asking questions that were too specific about Mark. Not just general, how's he doing? Questions, but details about his mood on a particular day, or something he'd posted online that only I, or someone very close to him, would notice. I remember one instance vividly. She asked me if I thought Mark was still hung up on me, right? After he'd sent me a confusing text. It seemed like a normal, supportive friend question at the time. But now, it echoes with a chilling prescience. There was also a strange email notification that popped up briefly on my own laptop one day, from an address I didn't recognize, and it vanished before I could properly see it. Just a glitch, I thought. My mind, clouded by the recent breakup and the stress of moving on, was quick to rationalize every anomaly. But deep down, a quiet, insistent voice, my gut, was starting to whisper that something was profoundly wrong. That quiet whisper soon grew into a persistent hum of unease. The odd occurrences became too frequent, too specific to ignore. A mutual friend innocently mentioned that Mark had been chatting with you a lot recently. My blood ran cold. Chatting with me. Beyond the occasional text, we hadn't been in regular contact. What was he talking about? I pressed them for details, but they just shrugged, saying, "Oh, just friendly stuff." Asking how he's doing. My mind raced, trying to connect the dots, but they just wouldn't form a coherent picture. Then came the truly jarring moment. I was at Sarah's apartment, just hanging out, when she quickly closed her laptop as I walked by. Too quickly, and for a split second, I saw a familiar profile picture, my own picture, on a messaging app that looked suspiciously like a dating site or a private chat window. It vanished before I could process it. My heart pounded. It could be nothing. I told myself, just paranoia. But the image was seared into my mind. The pieces started to fall into place, not gently, but with a sickening thud. The strange questions from Sarah, Mark's odd messages, the friend's comment, and now that fleeting image on her screen. My gut wasn't just whispering anymore. It was screaming. I knew, with a horrifying certainty, that I needed to find out what was going on. That fleeting glimpse on Sarah's laptop haunted me. It was too specific, too unsettling to ignore. I couldn't just sit around and wait for more strange clues to surface. My stomach churned with a sickening cocktail of fear and a desperate need. For answers, I started my own quiet investigation. A digital deep dive into my own online life, meticulously checking my social media, my email, any platform where someone might try to impersonate me. I felt like a detective in my own life, sifting through digital breadcrumbs, each click filled with an intensifying sense of dread. Every message, every comment, every notification was scrutinized, searching for anything that didn't quite add up, any anomaly that could lead me to the truth. The hours I spent felt like an eternity, each minute dragging as my anxiety mounted. I knew Sarah's habits, her writing style, even her preferred emotion. I searched through Mark's public posts, looking for anything out of the ordinary, any connection that felt forced or unnatural. It was a suffocating feeling, knowing that someone so close to me might be betraying me in such an insidious way. Just as I was about to give up, to convince myself it was all just paranoia, I stumbled upon it. A subtle detail, a turn of phrase, and a comment on one of Mark's older posts, using an obscure inside joke that only I would use. It was tiny, almost imperceptibly, but it screamed my voice. Yet it wasn't from my account. My breath hitched. This was no longer just a gut feeling. It was a cold, hard lead. The lead I found sent a shiver down my spine. It was enough. I knew I needed direct access, undeniable proof. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Sarah had asked me to house sit for her that weekend while she was out of town. A perfect, chilling irony. As soon as she left, I felt a knot of dread tighten in my stomach, but also a grim determination. I knew her computer password, a silly, easily guessed one from our younger days. My hands trembled as I typed it in, the screen lighting up like a doorway to a horrifying truth. And there it was. Not hidden, not buried, but glaringly, sickeningly obvious. Her messaging application was open, active, displaying a long, ongoing chat with Mark. But the profile picture wasn't hers, it was mine. My face, staring back at me, and the name displayed. My name. My heart plummeted to my feet. The screen was filled with conversations, intimate details of my past relationship with Mark, discussions about my feelings, my memories. It wasn't just a casual impersonation. She was being me. Every word she'd typed, every emoji, every subtle nuance was crafted to sound exactly like me. The sheer audacity, the depth of her deception, hit me like a physical blow. My best friend, catfishing, my ex asked me. The world spun, collapsing into a dizzying vortex of disbelief and a searing white rage. The screen glowed with the sickening truth, each message a fresh stab. It wasn't just a handful of texts. It was an extensive, elaborate charade spanning weeks, possibly even months. I scrolled through the conversations, my fingers trembling, each line solidifying the horrifying reality. Sarah had detailed personal stories about my childhood, recounted intimate moments from my relationship with Mark, even fabricated future plans as me. She discussed hypothetical scenarios with him, gauging his reactions, testing his loyalty as if she were running a twisted psychological experiment using my life as her laboratory. She knew all the subtle nuances of my speech, my specific my unique way of phrasing things. It was terrifyingly accurate, a perfect digital mimicry of me. The sheer scale of her deception was unfathomable. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a meticulous, ongoing campaign of impersonation. My mind raced, trying to grasp the depths of her planning. How long had this been going on? How many times had she been me without my knowledge, weaving this intricate web of lies? The feeling of violation was overwhelming. My identity, my private thoughts, my past with Mark, all of it had been hijacked, weaponized by my supposed best friend. It was as if she had taken my very essence and twisted it into a tool for her own perverse curiosity. The disbelief was rapidly giving way to a searing, white-hot rage. The laptop screen blurred before my eyes, the words on it no longer making sense through the hot tears that welled up. My body felt numb, then suddenly overwhelmed with a wave of nausea. I stumbled back from the desk, gasping for air that felt thick with betrayal. The images of Sarah, my best friend, smiling, laughing with me, offering me comfort during my breakup, now flashed through my mind, twisted and grotesque. Every moment of our friendship felt tainted, every memory scrutinized. Under the harsh light of this deception, was it all a lie? Had she always been capable of this? The immediate, guttural scream that clawed at my throat never made it out. Instead, a chilling quiet settled over me, a silent, all-consuming fury. How could I even confront her? How do you look the person you shared everything with in the eye and accuse them of something so monstrous? My mind raced, grappling with the sheer impossibility of the situation. Part of me wanted to smash the laptop, erase the evidence, pretend I never saw it. But a stronger, more primal urge demanded answers, demanded justice. The thought of confronting her filled me with dread, but the thought of carrying this secret, of letting her get away with it, was far more agonizing. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to my core, that I had to face her. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the sanctity of truth, the desecration of friendship. The moment Sarah returned, the air between us crackled with an unspoken tension, though she seemed blissfully unaware. I didn't waste time. There was no gentle preamble, no easing into the conversation. My voice, though tight, was steady as I simply said, "We need to talk." About Mark? Her eyes, usually so open and familiar, flickered with something I couldn't quite place, a fleeting hint of unease, quickly masked by a practiced nonchalance. "Oh, what about Mark?" she asked, a little too casually. That feigned innocence, that attempt to play dumb, only fueled the fire in my gut. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice from shaking with the sheer force of my anger. "Don't play dumb, Sarah," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "I know what you've been doing. I know about the conversations with Mark. The ones where you were pretending to be me." Her face went through a rapid series of changes. Surprise, then a flash of panic, followed by a quick, desperate attempt at denial. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know what you mean," she stammered, her voice suddenly high-pitched, but I was beyond being swayed by her act. My hand, still trembling slightly, reached for my phone, ready to expose the undeniable truth. "Don't even try, Sarah," I retorted, each word laced with the full weight of my betrayal. "I have the screenshots, I have the evidence. Every single conversation where you stole my identity to catfish my ex-boyfriend. It's all here." The air in the room grew heavy, suffocating. There was no more denying it. The color drained from her face. The bravado, the denial, it all crumbled in an instant. Her shoulders slumped, and her gaze dropped, unable to meet my furious eyes. The silence that followed was deafening, filled only with the frantic pounding of my heart, and then, she spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper, laced with a strange mixture of shame and something almost like defiance. I just wanted to test his loyalty," she mumbled, looking anywhere but at me. "I wanted to see if he was truly over you. If he'd come back to you if he thought you were reaching out." The words hit me like a physical blow, stripping away any remaining vestige of our friendship. "You, what?" I whispered, utterly aghast. "You used me. You used my identity, my past, our entire friendship, to run some sick, twisted experiment on my ex-boyfriend. How could you possibly think that was okay?" The absurdity, the sheer audacity of her reason, was beyond comprehension. She hadn't been trying to help me. She had used me as a tool, a pawn in her own warped game. It wasn't about loyalty, it was about control, about crossing every boundary imaginable. The anger that had been simmering flared into a roaring inferno. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a profound disrespect for my identity, my privacy, and the sacred trust I had placed in her. In that moment, looking at the person I called my best friend, I saw a stranger, a manipulator, and a true enemy. The moment she uttered that twisted justification to test his loyalty, something inside me irrevocably broke. The room, which just moments before felt heavy with tension, now felt filled with a deafening silence. There was nothing left. To say her confession wasn't an apology, it was an explanation that only magnified her cruelty. I didn't scream, I didn't cry then. The shock was too profound. I simply turned and walked away, leaving her standing there amidst the wreckage of what we once had. It wasn't just an argument. It was the definitive, heartbreaking end of a friendship I had once considered foundational to my life. The hours, then days that followed were a blur of intense emotional pain. It wasn't merely the anger, though, that burned fiercely. It was the crushing grief for the loss of Sarah, the person I thought I knew, the bond I thought was sacred. Every shared memory, every inside joke, every moment of vulnerability we'd ever exchanged felt tainted. Was it all a lie? Had her support been genuine, or was it always underscored by a hidden agenda? This wasn't just a breakup with an ex-boyfriend. It was the brutal, agonizing death of a sisterhood. It left a gaping wound in my heart, a void where trust and laughter used to reside. Once the initial shock and despair began to subside, a new daunting task emerged. I had to tell Mark. The thought alone filled me with dread. How do you even begin to explain to your ex-boyfriend that your best friend catfished him, pretending to be you, all to test his loyalty? It was an absurd, humiliating conversation to even contemplate. The call was excruciating. I tried to be calm, to lay out the facts as clearly as I could, but my voice kept trembling. He was, understandably, utterly bewildered, then angry, then deeply hurt. He couldn't believe it. He asked for proof, which I provided, sending screenshots that confirmed the insidious deception. The realization dawned on him slowly, and I could hear the pain in his voice, the confusion. It wasn't just my trust that was shattered. It was his too. He had been communicating with someone he believed was me, reliving parts of our past, perhaps even opening up about lingering feelings. The betrayal was twofold, damaging not only my friendship but also his perception of me and his own emotional landscape. It left an incredibly messy, complicated aftermath, a digital web of deceit that implicated us all, and a very public, humiliating cleanup for everyone involved. The immediate shock eventually faded, but the repercussions of Sarah's actions rippled through every aspect of my life. The most profound impact was on my sense of trust. Every new interaction, every friendly gesture, felt tainted by suspicion. Was this person genuine, or were they hiding something? My guard was constantly up, a heavy shield that made connecting with others incredibly difficult. The betrayal didn't just break my heart, it made me question my own judgment, my ability to discern true friendship from manipulative deceit. It created a deep-seated paranoia, making me reevaluate past friendships and wonder if I had missed other red flags along the way. Beyond the emotional toll, there was the tangible, digital cleanup. I had to change every single password across all my accounts, a tedious and unsettling task. It was a stark reminder of how deeply she had infiltrated my online persona. I scoured my social media profiles, my email, any digital footprint that could have been compromised, trying to erase any lingering traces of her deception. The feeling of violation was constant. My identity, my digital self, had been stolen and twisted for a twisted purpose. It was a chilling realization of how vulnerable we are online, and how easily someone we trust can turn our digital lives into a weapon against us. Even now, months later, the most tormenting question remains: why? Sarah claims she wanted to test his loyalty, but that explanation feels hollow, a flimsy excuse for a deeply malicious act. Was it truly about Mark, or was it something darker, more insidious? Was it jealousy disguised as concern, a desire for control, or perhaps a deep-seated insecurity that manifested as a need to manipulate the lives of others? I've replayed her words, her expressions, countless times, searching for an answer that makes sense, but it remains elusive. This unanswered why is a constant ache. It forces me to re-examine our entire friendship, looking for clues I might have missed, subtle signs of a manipulative streak that was always there, just dormant. It's an agonizing process, because it means questioning years of shared history, wondering if the person I thought was my best friend was always, to some extent, a stranger. The anger towards Sarah is still present, a simmering ember, but it's increasingly mixed with a profound sadness for the friendship that died, and sadness for the person she chose to become. The initial shock and fury have, over time, begun to mellow into a dull ache, a constant reminder of the breach. But I know I can't stay stuck in that pain forever. The process of healing from this kind of betrayal is slow, arduous, and deeply personal. It means actively working to rebuild my trust in others, even when every instinct screams at me to put up an impenetrable wall. It means reminding myself that not everyone is capable of such calculated deceit, even if the memory of Sarah's actions still stings. I've started focusing on self-care, on reconnecting with friends who've shown me unwavering loyalty, and on activities that bring me genuine peace. It's about setting boundaries now, clear and firm, to protect my emotional well-being. This experience has been a harsh lesson in recognizing red flags, in listening to that quiet gut feeling when something seems off. I've had to learn that not every relationship, even one as long-standing as ours, is meant to endure. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to acknowledge the toxicity and create distance. It's an ongoing journey, one step forward and sometimes 2 steps back. But I am committed to reclaiming my sense of security and moving past the shadow of her deception. This entire ordeal has opened my eyes to the terrifying reality of digital deception and identity theft. It's not just some abstract concept you read about in news articles. It can happen in your own backyard, at the hands of someone you completely trust. SR's actions, using my photos, my personal stories, my very identity, to manipulate someone online, showcased just how vulnerable we all are in the digital age. It's a chilling reminder that the lines between our online personas and our real lives are often blurred, and that once your digital self is compromised, the repercussions can be deeply personal and long-lasting. It makes you question every online interaction, every new connection. How many others are out there, meticulously crafting fake personas, preying on people's emotions, just to test something or for their own amusement? My experience is a stark warning that you need to be vigilant, even with those closest to you. The ease with which she created that fake version of me to catfish Mark is unsettling, and it underscores the critical importance of digital hygiene and being aware of who truly has access to your personal information, both online and off. This ordeal, as agonizing as it has been, has forced me to learn some incredibly valuable, albeit difficult, lessons. The first is to always trust your gut. Those initial whispers of unease, those little things that didn't quite add up, they were my intuition screaming, and I should have listened sooner. Second, be incredibly vigilant about your digital footprint. What information are you sharing? Who has access to your accounts, even seemingly harmless ones? This experience has made me much more conscious of my online security and privacy settings. More importantly, I've learned about the insidious nature of manipulation. It often starts subtly, with seemingly innocent questions or actions, before escalating into a full-blown betrayal. Look for patterns of behavior where someone consistently prioritizes their own needs or curiosities over your boundaries or well-being. If a friend suddenly becomes intensely interested in your ex's life, or asks overly specific questions about your past relationships, it could be a warning sign. This isn't to say you should become paranoid about everyone, but it is a stark reminder. to be discerning about who you truly let into your inner circle and who you trust with the intimate details of your life. While I'm actively working on healing, some scars from this betrayal will undoubtedly remain. The most significant is the lingering challenge with trust. It's hard to open up fully, to be completely vulnerable with new people, when you've experienced such a profound violation from someone you loved and trusted unconditionally. Every new friendship feels like it comes with an invisible risk assessment, a subtle hesitation that wasn't there before. It's a heavy burden to carry, and I'm still learning how to navigate it without letting it define all my future. Relationships. The emotional toll of this kind of betrayal is immense. It's not just the immediate pain, it's the long-term work of disentangling your identity from the lie, of processing the grief for a lost friendship, and of rebuilding your sense of security in the world. It's a constant reminder that even in what should be your safest spaces, betrayal can lurk. This story isn't just about catching a friend catfishing, it's about the deep, enduring emotional impact of having your trust shattered by the very person you least expected. That's why I'm sharing this story with you. This isn't just me venting into the void, this is my Reddit confession. Because sometimes, when your world is turned upside down by something so unbelievably personal, you need the collective wisdom of strangers. I've replayed every moment, every sickening discovery, countless times. I've questioned my own reactions, wondering if I'm overreacting, if my pain is disproportionate to the crime. But every time I trace it back, the facts remain chillingly consistent. My best friend used my identity to catfish my ex-boyfriend, all to test his loyalty. So, I'm turning to you, the community that understands the bizarre, the infuriating, and the deeply personal. Am I crazy for how deeply this hurt me? For feeling such a profound sense of violation? Has anyone else experienced a betrayal this twisted from someone they loved and trusted implicitly? What would you do in my shoes? The isolation of carrying this alone has been immense, and I desperately need to know if my feelings are valid, if this level of deception warrants such a drastic rupture. This experience wasn't just about a dramatic breakup or a petty fight. It was a brutal awakening to the dark side of trust and the potential for cruelty from unexpected places. It stripped away layers of naive belief and forced me to confront a painful reality about human nature, even within the closest bonds. While the scars remain, I'm choosing to learn from this, to strengthen my boundaries, and to rely on genuine connections that are built on truth, not deception. If my story resonated with you, if you've ever navigated the treacherous waters of betrayal, please hit that like button. Share your thoughts, your own experiences, and any advice you have in the comments below. Your perspective means more than you know. And if you want to hear more stories about real-life dramas, lessons learned, and the messy complexities of human relationships, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for giving me this space to finally share my truth.